So we're back off down the road now, and you'll see how close Crowhurst is to the new road. So you might be surprised. I know a lot of people will be surprised to think that actually Nick likes the Link Road. But anyone who takes the trouble to read the evidence I gave at the public inquiry, which is on the website, they'll know that my objection was not to the road, it was to the route. And now it's built, I suppose maybe we'll be able to get on and find out exactly what is at Wilting. The archaeologists have taken months and months to look at the stuff. The main delay in the road is almost certainly due to the fact that Oxford Archaeology were there for well past what they were planned to be, because there was so much evidence in the ground. And at the public inquiry we were told there was no archaeology at Wilting. In fact, we were told there was no archaeology in the valley. The inspector took the decision because he was told there was nothing there. So this is a lesson for people who get involved in public inquiries. You've got to be very thorough. You've got to be very thorough, and you've got to have your own experts. We didn't have them, and so we got a road instead. My idea was to put the route through this side, around the other side of Wilting, and connecting to this road that we're coming to now. This is called the Queensway. It's been here originally designed as the bypass that would connect to Bexhill. The politicians decided, it was a political decision, that they didn't want the bypass road to go on the south side of the Coombe Haven. They wanted it to go on the north side of the Coombe Haven. Why? My view, and I think the view of everybody in Crowhurst and around the area, is that this is because it gave them more infill. They wanted more land. They were just greedy. And here we are, the road to nowhere, as it's been called, goes from a T-junction, which we'll come back down the other way, you can have a look at it, and 3 lanes we've got at the bridge, because the bridge started to fall down at one stage, so they had to reinforce it. And Wilting is on the left. This is, I believe on the left here, is Alfred's Burgh. And the real question is it really Alfred's Burgh? And we've got a fantastic view here, going down the Link Road to Bexhill. In fact, it only takes, we'll see how many minutes it takes. In the old days, it could take you half an hour to get across from one side of these valleys to the other. Now we've got a stunningly good road. Let's be quite prepared to admit that, and understand the issues that now arise. The principal issue is, because the road is built, let's get all those objectors out of the way who have been standing in the way of getting to the truth. And by objectors I mean people at East Sussex County Council and Hastings Council, and the politicians, people like Amber Rudd, who basically wanted to claim credit for this road, and now they've got the credit. Let's get on with the work of understanding what the archaeologists have found in this valley. We want to know what was here before this road was built. It's well hidden, as you can see. It's going to be well planted, so there are no issues really with the problem of it being visible. Now we have to understand what is going on at Wilting. What went on? Well, in 1066, was Alfred's Burgh there? We know that there's a document in the Crowhurst parish records, extremely well hidden, which Martin from the village found, that tells us that the de Scotneys, who took over as Lord of the Manor in about 1300, were commissioned. The main man there was commissioned to be positioned not Lord. I have to think of the right word. Doesn't matter. He was stationed at the old Burgh at Wilting. Now, this is a real telltale clue that the old burgh was probably the old Burgh of Hastings. There are no other burghs, and Alfred built his burgh, this massive earthworks, on Wilting, and we were told at the time that it wasn't an earthwork, it was completely natural. Well, now we've got the evidence of the archaeologists. They can, we're coming to the roundabout now, which is just before Sidley, and I'm going to drive back down the road. As you can see, it didn't take long at all. What we have to do is find out, was the old burgh that the Scotney got commissioned to stay at. He wasn't staying at his manor, he was staying at the old burgh in Wilting. Was this the old Burgh of Hastings? The evidence stacks up that it must have been. And what we're being told by that is that the old burgh was a defensive earthworks built on the orders of Alfred the Great, and they took the same form in almost every instance, same size, and Martin measured it and he found that the earthworks at Wilting was exactly the right size. Now the road cuts through it, we can't do anything about that, but we can admit the truth. We can admit that actually this burgh on the top of that hill was the original Hastings Burgh. Now what that tells us is, holy moly, the earthworks at Wilting was at the town of Hastings, because it was not built anywhere else. It was the Hastings Burgh. And that means, if we can see, I don't know if you can see down the valley there, whether you've got that shot. We'll have a look in a moment. It's full of water. We're running right across a floodplain at the moment. The reason this has been hidden from view is because if you didn't have these huge earthen ramparts running across here, we'd be underwater in the almost certainly in the months to come. And it wouldn't be the first time since this bridge, this road has opened, that we will see that the water has already started to infill. I've lived here for a long time and I know how deep the water gets in this valley, and I don't know whether this road will survive. It's going to cost a lot of money to keep as it is at the moment. And who knows, one day we might even see it go down the route that we originally suggested, which was cheaper, that went along the south bank. But for now, I'm looking for the truth. Alfred's Burgh is on the right hand side here, on the top of this hill. It's been chopped in two, and the archaeologists spent an inordinate amount of time on this hill, because they found, I'm pretty sure they found all the elements that we were looking for. Oh, there you go. That's my alarm going off. I mustn't go too fast. Too fast for the audience, too fast for the archaeologists. Hey. So here we go, road to nowhere, going back to where we came from, and look what we got. This is where it goes. What an idiotic end to that road. There should be a roundabout here. We don't need a T-junction. That's madness. But you know, the wisdom of road builders. The edge of Hastings, funneling everybody up to the conquest and causing traffic jams on the route. If you can hear me, depending on where the horses are, you can see the bank of the Burgh has been very well preserved by the route of the road. I thought that they would probably just dig right the way through the whole lot, but actually the county archaeologist has done a brilliant job in maintaining as much of this structure as possible. Even the bridle path, instead of cutting through, which would have been so easy to do, they brought it up to the level to preserve it. So the whole, we've lost very little, but enough to be sad from my point of view. But we have to live and move on. Now we've got the evidence, we have to try and discover what really happened here in 1066 and earlier. In my book I made the claim that that this was a very important valley because it had continuous development from the Bronze Age. Now, sort of I was laughed at in those days because there was no evidence whatsoever of any development in this valley. Now we have to see what the archaeologists have to say, and from what we've had leaked to us so far, I'm right. There was continuous development from the Bronze Age right the way through to the Normans, but of course we don't have the Norman history. Somehow something happened in 1066 and Hastings disappeared. The Burgh disappeared. We do have the biotapestry showing Hastings or something being burnt, and there is a general consensus amongst historians that it might have been Hastings. Now, if it was Hastings, where is Hastings today in the historical record? And it isn't in the old town. We know from the historical record in the old town there is no earthworks that suits the Burgh, and there is no archaeology before 1066. The castle was moved there in 1095, and so we're left with a conclusion it was somewhere else. I think we've got in the historical record now, thanks to this road, we've got the truth. And we need to know, were the Romans here? If the Romans were here, there's going to be a Roman record here somewhere. It doesn't have to be very big, it can just be Roman tiles. But if the Romans were here, it fits the description for the Burgh, because they were always built on Roman sites. And we know that there are Roman tracks from up in the valleys down to the port area, and now we can see, and everybody can see as they drive along this road in this time of the year, exactly where the port was, because it's full of water. Oh, and here we are at the other end, and you can see I'm standing on what was the corner of the Burgh, and you can see there's a pretty big drop down there, and thanks now to the road builders, we get a much better perspective of where this is, because there is actually a very clear view up to the Crowhurst battlefield up there, because they've taken down a few of the trees, and there it is, straight as a die between the two. And this bit of land that we're standing on it's very much like a peninsula. There's a big drop over there, there's a big drop next to Chapel Field over there, and back down there, and a huge drop down into Bexhill. And here's the view from the Crowhurst Valley, and you can see quite clearly where the road goes across the marsh, but it's very well hidden. And so the story of 1066 is not over yet. It's 2016, and welcome to 2016, because this story is going to run.